Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to some more 5 Hopes for Fire Emblem Engage. I finally got the title right, and it sucks
Uh,
because this is the final episode of it.
well, you gotta get it right eventually, and the final episode is the best time, I think.
Yeah. Oh my
Aside,
god.
aside
When
from the
we
first.
when we play Fire Emblem Engage, I'm gonna be opening up with "Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to some more Fire Emblem Engage Genealogy of the Holy Engage."
More genealogy of the Holy Engage,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, to be fair, you do like
welcome
kind of
to welcome to Three Hopes, genealogy of the Holy Engage, the Holy Rings.
the Holy Rage.
I was gonna say the Holy Rings, but yeah, the Holy Rage. Fuck it, we're mad. We'll die, man. Fine.
But as I was saying, this is the final episode. So after this, I guess that after this video, there'll just be like little tidbits of news that I think would be so minuscule that we won't be needing to cover it. So I hope you guys are. I hope you guys enjoy the series mostly.
Yeah, it's definitely been a lot of fun to record, and I honestly just enjoy talking about these. It's nice to air opinions.
Yeah, and now that I feel like we got the majority of our opinions out, now we'll just be waiting for the game and to play it and actually give our opinions on it when we actually play it. Like when we pick up the game, I'm obviously going to like Alex, me and you are going to do what we did with Dark Deity, like talk about the map and the story at the certain points, because I do think that was a part of the game that
the end of each chapter.
Yeah, at the end, and also we're going to be guessing the MVP as well, because that isn't confirmed in this game.
Wait, do they have MVPs?
Yeah, they do.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and it's really cool. Like they show like the MVP off, and they have like a little like where they show the MVP, the portrait on the left side, and they say the turn count.
I like that. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it's kind of like what they did with Three Houses too.
Yeah. So now we're gonna get into our final hope, and Alex is gonna go second because apparently his is long. I don't know what it is though, so I'm gonna go first.
It's pretty obvious what you think about it.
It might actually be mine actually because it might be similar to mine, but I digress. So let me just get into mine. So my final hope for this game is that I'm hoping that you're not going to be forced to use the engage rings.
Okay, no, we had different things, but
okay.
That's actually a really good hope. Mm-hmm. And if for challenge runs later, I also just fucking hope that's the case.
Yeah. So what I mean is that I hope that like we'll be able to like use the emblem rings like if we want to, but if we don't have to, then that's fine because I know the engage rings are like front and center as we've seen. But the thing is though, there may be people who later on don't want to use the emblem rings because they think that like we've seen so far, like they're showing off the emblem rings in a way that they're overpowered. But I feel like that they're showing off the emblem rings in a way that even though that they're so overpowered, it's kind of like how when you see a Smash Brothers trailer for a new character, you must think, oh man, that character must be the best character ever. I feel like that they're almost showing off the emblem rings in this way because so far, whenever we see the emblem rings front and center in a video, they always seem like super overpowered.
They seem like they're kicking the shit out of somebody, which they are. For instance, when we saw Hortensia kicking the shit out of us with an emblem ring, well, that happened, and we died.
Yeah,
so.
And we had the Divine Pulse. Obviously, we're talking about a different video. We haven't played the game yet, obviously.
No. Other people have, though, but we haven't.
But that's what I'm basically hoping for, because like let's say like later on I know that there are going to be people who want to do like challenge runs or like runs with like out specific emblems or not the emblems at all, and I'm really hoping
I'll do that. That sounds fun as fuck, not gonna lie.
Yeah, like that's something that I do want to do at a certain point later on, like much in the far future, but I don't want to like but the thing is though, I don't like that's something that I've done with like certain challenges with other Fire Emblem games. Like in Fire Emblem Fates, I recently did an Iron Man run where I don't use the royal units.
That's gonna suck for Dragon Vein maps, but aside
from that, I completed it and I lost a lot of units, but it was worth it in the end.
Nice.
Yeah.
How much did you have to use capture? That's my real question.
Huh?
How much did you have to use capture? That's my real question.
No, I never used capture because Niles and Orochi suck.
Well, I mean, yeah, they do, but to get better, like, boss units or something.
Oh, no. Like, I definitely got, like, I didn't ever capture it at all. I just used, like, if you want to know, I used, like, Tsubaki, Hana. Yeah, I had to use units like that, actually.
Well.
And they survived to the end, actually.
Nice.
Yeah, because that's something that's good, because, like, it made me feel rewarding, and it made me paint these units in a different light, because I never used these units through an Iron Man run or in a normal run in general. And because I was using a
Well,
run without the royal
in an Iron
unit,
Run you could.
huh?
In a normal run, you really won't, just because you can reset for a royal because it's a royal.
Yeah,
But for an Iron Man run, it makes sense because they're the second sons, basically. They're what comes after in case the first one fucks up.
yeah.
Where, hey, this is a replacement unit. Here you go.
Yeah, and that's the thing, because in Fates, like, it made me paint units that I never used in a different light, because, well, my roster was already set, consisting of mostly royals and other good characters. Like, it made me, like, paint Tsubaki in a better light, where he actually can be a competent unit. And I hope that's similar to the case here, where, because I feel like the emblem rings are mostly going to, like, almost, like, overshadow certain characters, like, and that's something that I'm hoping that won't be the case when I play this game. Like, I'm hoping that even though the rings are going to be broken, I hope they're not going to be broken to the point where I'm forced to use them. I want to if, like, let's say I want to use, like, Diamond without an emblem ring, I'm hoping that he's just going to be good right straight up, and I'm not going to have to use an emblem ring to actually make him good.
Yeah, it's kind of like what we talked about a while back with Cyril and his aptitude compared to other villagers with their aptitude, where Cyril was bad to begin with, and then his aptitude skill, which is the villager skill that increases growth by around 20% based on the game, that brought his growths up to a normal unit standards. So he wasn't better than anybody else, and really he had to be supplemented by this mechanic rather than be decent on his own. Without it, he would kind of suck.
Yeah.
So it would be good if that isn't the same with these units, which will also I'll kind of tie into later, but in a different way.
Yeah, and that's basically just what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that the units will be good and that they're not forced to, like, you know, use the emblem rings in order to become good. And I'm hoping that the emblem rings aren't going to be so overpowered that we're going to have to use them, and that if I want to do a challenge run later on, I can do it without, I can actually, like, I hope the game's, like, be able without being forced to use the emblem rings. That's basically what that's basically just what my hope is for the final one.
I think that should be doable, so long as, like, they don't boost somebody's stats significantly, or there's, like, a specific story thing where they kind of soft lock you if you don't use it, and it's, like, a hard stop.
Yeah,
like,
it's like, what's, like, it's
this unit without an emblem ring.
like, we know that the emblem rings are front and center, but we should be able to, like, you know, like, I understand that's, like, the selling point of this game, but I feel like that it shouldn't have to be, like, the game should be beatable without using this mechanic. Just like how I won't be using, the Dragon Time Crystal Divine Pulse mechanic in this
back
game.
into, like, you can play however you want to play. This comes into that too, where if you want to use the emblem rings, and if you want to use Divine Pulse, you can. You have every right to. It's in the game. It's a resource.
Yeah.
If you don't want to, that's the same thing. It's a game. It's your way of playing. It's not the game's way of playing. You get to decide that.
Yeah, it's the emblem rings. Like, you can use these rings, and, like, if you don't want to use these rings, then fine. It may be a bit challenging for you, but you can definitely beat the game without using the rings.
Yeah.
Alright, that is it for my final hope. So, Alex, you're up. I am actually very interested in hearing what your final hope is for this game, actually.
It's honestly kind of bland and really obvious. Man, I just hope the story's good.
Oh, really? Oh, man.
Honestly, yes. Story is and, like, plot, that, like, the main plot is a big part of any, like, RPG, especially, like, turn-based RPGs for me specifically. I know it is for a lot of people as well, especially when it comes to, like, just Fire Emblem in general. A huge part of the game is story, which is why a lot of people didn't like Conquest, where despite the really good gameplay and, like, just the attention to detail, like, it's good. And if as a game of, like, playing it, it's good.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I feel like people more prefer the gameplay of Fire Emblem compared to the story, because that's what I hear so much about. Like, people, like, they don't really talk. Whenever I see people talking about, like, Fire Emblem games in general, they don't really talk about the stories of the games. They talk about the gameplay and say, "Oh man, it was such a fun time." But I never hear them talking about the stories of them.
That's funny because a lot of times I definitely hear them talking a lot about the gameplay, and it's a core concept of Fire Emblem. And without the gameplay, you really don't have a game. So,
Yeah.
No, but
it's just a visual novel at that point.
Yeah, but if you're not doing a challenge run, or, you know, you just don't, like, you have so much fun with the gameplay, it's like, I gotta play this all the time, I don't really care about the story. Like, the story is what's going to keep you, like, invested in the game, and, like, it's what makes you care about these characters. which also makes sense with the permadeath mechanic of like, hey, they died, you care about this character.
Well, some
This
characters
sucks.
don't die, as we know.
Yeah, well, we like to not
We
think
saw
about
that
that.
yesterday.
We like to not think about that. That what else death scene.
Oh my god.
But I think that aside from that, just as a first time playthrough, if the story isn't that great, we can laugh at it and like we can say like, oh, it's funny. Look at how bad it is.
Yeah, like we did with Dark
That'll be
Deity.
exactly, and it's like that'll be a fun time in and of itself.
Yeah. Oh my
Uh,
god. I'm really hoping that they were fun. Like don't get me wrong. Like we've seen little snippets of gameplay here of the story. And, like remember when Alcris was badass in that one scene, and then he did a complete 180. That was actually funny, and it really made me think about the story at a certain point.
Yeah, because you get into that and you look at it, and it's like, well, a few things you can really take from that scene. Number one is that this game definitely has some humor to it. I likened it before. I think it was yesterday. I'm pretty sure. Regardless, in an earlier video, because upload times, I likened it to Three Houses and some of their cinematic and cutscenes where they're a lot more dramatic. Anytime that kind of like these characters are animated rather than just standing still and doing various motions and talking, they're going to be animated, and a lot of it is just tragic, if not like very serious. There isn't a lot of like, there's hope, obviously, and it's like, there's no funny shit. There's none
Yeah,
of it.
that's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah. That's what people. I hear a lot of reviewers talking about this game, like how Three Houses was so serious with its story and gameplay, and now here there are definitely serious scenes, but there is a humor that you can also get behind with this game. Whereas with Three Houses, you felt like there was very little scenes of humor where they were only seeing the support conversations.
Yeah, because with Three Houses, at least from how it's looking so far compared to Engage, it seems like that was a very tragic game, a very tragic
In
tone.
terms of story, and we mean that in a good way, not a bad way.
Yeah, well, it was a good way because it took their audience seriously and it gave them things to think about, which sometimes they thought too much about, and a little too vocally as well. But that's another thing.
All
But aside from that, is they thought and they got to feel too, because it really made you fucking feel a lot of emotions. Feel happy when you like defeated that Goldwyn. When you like finish that route, it's like it's hope, it's happiness.
Mm-hmm.
And with a lot of routes, actually, but some it's like also just the somberness and just the whole history of the game and like before the game and during the game, it's just a lot of unavoidable shit and bad shit too. With this game, it seems like it's going to be taking itself a little less seriously, allowing some fun, and going to be more of an adventure sort of thing, and like going into a new world. And also, obviously, the cameos, which I really hope they don't lean on too much for this game, where it's like, oh, the tragic part of this game is that your Fire Emblem characters from previous games that you like are now evil. That sucks.
Well, we
doesn't
know
it?
we know that the Emblems are going to be possessed by like evil people. Like, well, we know Hortensia's going to have an emblem ring, and that we're going to have to fight her. We know that.
Exactly. And it's like, oh, it's tragic that like fucking some people with emblem ring, like say for instance, I don't know, if like Roy had to fight like well, okay, maybe not like Roy and Lynn, but like I don't know, Ike and Micaiah fighting, like that's somewhat tragic, or like anything really, like that kind of shit is it can be tragedy, but that's also straying away from the thing. This game isn't going to be tragic. It doesn't seem like it is. It seems like there might be a moral ambiguity system. It might be like, oh, Alir's evil. No, they're not. It's like, you get to choose. Or maybe there's just a scene of that. I'm not sure. The main thing, the reason why this is my number one hope is because we know so little about the story right now. It could be fucking anything.
Yeah, like it could be one of the greatest stories of all time, or it could just be like basically dog shit worse than Conquest. Which if it's worse than Conquest, that is impressive.
That is impressively bad, honestly, because there's like kind of boringly bad, which I would say is like Dark Deity in terms of its story, and then
Wait,
there's
what do you
like
mean by boringly bad? Like just nothing happening and it's just bad?
I mean that like in terms of the story, It's very generic. There's not like they don't stray too far for a lot of shit, and a lot of it is just like, okay, you go like do fetch quests, like you go to point A to point B, you go speak with God, like you go fight big evil bad guy. There's a lot of nuance
I
behind it.
don't think it's gonna be like that because with the Emblem Rings, that's the mechanic, and seeing like all like seeing of based on what we've seen so far, I don't think it's gonna be like a generic story like that. I
I
don't.
don't think it's going to
That's
be
my
generic.
opinion. That's my opinion.
I think there's going to be some nuance behind it. I just hope that it's a good kind and enough where it's not something that's like an easy question of like, do evil be good? Yes or no? It's like, should we summon Grima? That's going to fuck up the earth. Yes or no? And it's like, well, what if I want to be evil and a jackass? You can do that. Okay, cool. That also goes into, hey, you can actually be evil. That's really cool. And people have been asking for that. Cool. But you also need to make it work because if you
Otherwise,
do
you
it,
end up with Conquest and also
you have,
Three Houses Crimson Flower.
yeah, that's a touchy subject, but I agree with that. Because with both of those, they try to justify it the entire time instead of just kind of leaning into it, number one, and try and paint you as the protagonists, while painting the people that are very much the victims, the antagonists at the very least. And you also just kind of get that it's like, this feels kind of hasty and put together, and that it's just not really thought of that much. Like, there's a lot of gaps, which isn't something you want in a story. Especially if this is a linear story with only one route.
It really seems like it's very linear. Like we have a world map with like where we just go through like stories and like where we go through like chapters. It does seem like I don't think there's any like route splits or anything. This from what we've heard from reviews so far, it seems like it's like how you've always thought. It's from the beginning of this game. It's a very linear Fire Emblem game.
That's what I assumed, and given just really from the first few screenshots, I assumed that because it felt like an older Fire Emblem game, which granted, there's older Fire Emblem characters in it. It's gonna feel a little older. Makes sense.
Like I think if there's anything that's going to be different about the story, I think that there's going to be like there's going to be like the ending of the game will be different, and we'll be able to decide the ending of the game. I think that's what's going
to. They might do another Rick Robin thing where it's like stay or go, sleep or no.
Yeah, I think that's basically what it's going to be.
Probably, or something along the lines. Another thing that I'm a little concerned about is the characters. It's delving more into Awakening Fates territory, where some of them kind of feel like gimmicks, rather than like whole characters. Though we also only understand the surface of them. We don't get to know them that well yet.
Yes, because we haven't like very much delved into the support conversations.
We haven't. But just looking at them, which I know, looking at a book by its cover and judging it sucks. But getting a first impression of it is different.
Yeah.
My impression is that a lot of these characters and a lot of like just the character value in general, it feels like the cameo of the rings and the people in the rings kind of accounts for a decent bit, where enjoyable characters that are memorable and just motherfuckers that you're going to buy the game for. A lot of it is going to come from the Emblem rings, not necessarily the characters in this game. Who's buying this game for Rosada? I know you are, but maybe not anymore. But
I have to find if there's marriage in this game, I have to find a new wife for now.
Oopsies. I don't think there is. I honestly don't. But I could be very wrong. And given the fact that it's been like such a strong thing and like very prevalent since Awakening, I don't think they're really gonna give it up that easily. But I don't know. I mainly just worry about the characters. I wonder how they're going to do in this setting. I just hope that they don't lean too heavily on the Emblem rings for like plot purposes and like, hey, there's character development with Marth. That's fucking great. This isn't his game.
Yeah,
it's not.
Like he's not meant to be the main focus. Like I understand he's on the. I understand that Marth is on the front cover of the box, but this isn't his game. If this was his game, I might as well just play the first Fire Emblem game to understand Marth.
Pretty much, yeah. And it's like, some of the Emblem rings are going to be optional, it seems like, though, even though the main goal is like,
I don't know. Like, the more and more I see of this game, I feel like the 12 Emblem rings are almost going to be, like, mandatory to get. Even though that some of them are going to be retconned with, like, you know, because we've seen with DLC that there are apparently Emblem rings that are, you know, the Emblem Tiki and Emblem like Three Houses Lords. Those are Emblem rings, and it feels like they're almost retconning the story through like DLC in my opinion.
A little bit, and that bothers me. And that's also another worry is that I don't know how the DLC is going to come into it, if it's going to be non-canon, if it's going to be kind of like a side story sort of thing that doesn't matter too much, but can offer some context for stuff, kind of like how Fates did with like their other shit with Severa, Laszlo, and
Which
Odin.
I'll say right now, that was Conquest gameplay Revelation story time.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
Yeah. So I'm really but I do agree with you. I'm hoping that the Emblem rings aren't gonna like play like yes, they're gonna play a main part of the story, but I hope they're not gonna overtake the actual characters of the story. Because that was my first worry when this game was actually announced back in September of 2022.
Mine too. Really, just like this might become their story and just their kind of game.
Is this game going to focus on the actual characters, or is it actually going to focus on the characters from past games that aren't actually meant to be part of this game?
Yeah, for all I know, it honestly would make sense. This could be just one game that fucking focus on all the old lords and shit, and it's like, hey, go play these old games that
we can't play on here.
But
we can't play on this console.
Play anyways. Like, here you go. This might be a passion project. I have no idea. It's a Nintendo product, so probably not. But there aren't exactly passion products here. We've seen from Pokemon. We know.
That was definitely made out of love and care.
I'm sure it was, yeah. But I really just hope that I can get invested in this story and say, I care for these characters. I want the best for them. I'm excited to see what happens next with them. And not just say, I want to get this fucking story over with so I can look at the next game, like the next bit of gameplay, and I can just play the game. Like, no, I want to care about the story as well. It's, for me, half of the game. Because the cutscenes, I think, I said before, are a very good medium for telling the story, because they allow, especially if you're using them more often, which seems to be what they want to do, and it makes sense given how much how familiar they should be with the hardware now. They've released multiple Fire Emblem games on the Switch. They should be ready to do cutscenes a little bit more.
Oh yeah, definitely. From the cutscenes I've seen of this game, even through this video, they look so good compared to Three Houses.
They don't look like 30 frames, which is good.
No, actually, no. The game does run at 30 frames per second, though.
That's it. Well, it doesn't feel like it. It doesn't feel as choppy as Three Houses.
Oh no! The cutscenes and gameplay felt like they were running at 10 frames per second, though very smoothly.
Yeah, here it feels a little better, and I think that.
And actually, the game actually runs at 1080p HD. Actually.
God damn, that's nice.
Yeah, even the environmental assets of the game look good as well.
That's solid. But yeah, I'm mainly just wondering, please God, let them utilize cutscenes in a good way this time. Because they've done it before, but a lot of it was few and far between. The fact that they have voice acting kind of through and through is really nice, and a nice touch. There seem to be a lot of good quality of life things. Just let the fucking plot have that too. Let it be something that you care about instead of just we're just gonna kind of fuck around with this. It's kind of a me thing rather than because the Fire Emblem community is very much based on gameplay. And sometimes solely gameplay, because a lot of times after the release of the game, you sort of forget about
the story.
The story makes it last. The gameplay is. That's what we talk about for years and years. We talk about the story only sometimes, and usually when a newer fan comes in, and it's let's talk about this.
And they oh my god! Whenever I see someone talk about the story of Conquest or Birthright, I say, what story are you talking about? Because are you serious? Did you, or when oh my god, when Conquest first got released and people actually thought the story was good.
That was kind of crazy.
Seriously, it was almost like a bully. It was almost like a gang of bullies, ganging up on this one kid because they were they just oh my god.
It was a very prevalent thing to do.
Yeah, I know. It was hilarious to do. I'm not gonna
It was funny, but also I will say, listen, this could be somebody's first Fire Emblem game, and that's how they start the series, and then you kind of shit on them for that.
I'm not gonna act like I wasn't like that. Because first played Awakening, and I thought the story was good. And then I go back and play Path of Radiance. I go and play Blazing Sword, Sacred Stones, Reign of Dawn. I was like, and then I go back and see Awakening. And I say, it was okay.
That's the thing.
Because I have a better understanding of how Fire Emblem stories were constructed back then instead of how they were today.
I think that if they take anything out of Three Houses' book, make a cohesive story. Make a story I care about.
Yeah, don't
don't make it something where there aren't really any stakes or anything.
Don't make. Oh my God, Alex, you want I know this is like your hope, but I'm hoping that they don't pull another Lilith with Sami.
Oh, don't say that. Don't say that. Sami hasn't said a single fucking word. I hope that doesn't change.
Also, I know this is like off topic though, but actually you can actually customize what Sami like wears and also what like color his scarf is.
That's actually really cool. They don't talk, do they? I fucking hope not.
Not so far as I know, they don't talk. They seem to be like it's almost like
it that way.
It's almost just it's basically like a pet that follows you around. He does follow you around the Somnia.
Good. That's good. Keep it that way. Keep them a pet. Don't be like, I'm gonna die for you on a plot point now. Bye.
Yeah. But if he does die, don't make it be by a random corrupted.
Yeah. Let it have some impact.
I will say though, that scene did make me feel emotional. I've never laughed that hard when that scene happened.
I agree. It was the animation was funny. The fact they just fucking leave her there was hilarious. Oh my god. Fucking shit up there.
Just leave her in the staircase.
It's like, yeah, fuck it. You can but your body's not going anywhere.
Oh my god, my stomach is hurting. Oh my god.
Okay.
Jesus Christ. Oh my god, my stomach's hurting at this point.
Oh my god, I'm sure it is. But yeah, to really close it out, I hope the plot is good. I hope it's something that I can enjoy. And I hope that honestly every aspect of this game is just something I can have fun with, especially for my first playthrough.
Jesus. Okay, I'm getting up.
Okay? You good?
Yeah, I'm getting up.
Okay.
So I fell out of my chair.
Die something? Like what happened?
I fell out of my chair when I was laughing.
Fucking shit. You kidding me?
I'm sorry. I was laughing too hard.
I know it was emotional engaging, but I didn't know this much.
Oh my god. Seriously, I really hope this game is engaging, though. I agree with... though I am listening to you, and I do agree with you. I do hope this story is good.
Yeah, it's something I really just hope for, because I want to, like, be able to think about it, and then say, like, yeah, this was cool. This was really cool, even.
Jeez. Okay, so, are you, finished, or...
I got nothing else to say.
Okay. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna do it for this episode. Thank you all so much for watching. Like I said in the last video, there doesn't seem to be any more like news worth covering. And if anything, I think that what Nintendo's gonna do is that they're gonna release a demo. I don't think that's up in the air. It could go either way. I think they might do what they did with Warriors 3 Hosts, where they release a demo up to a certain chapter, and then we can transfer our save data over. If that does happen, I will definitely be playing the demo day one and then pick up where I left off with the game.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. If they don't, then obviously we just wait until day one to play the game. Honestly, I think they're gonna just wait until the game releases. They're not gonna do a demo because there's too much hype surrounding this game.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I'm going to be making a video on January. Let me see. I'm pretty sure it's the 16th. That's a Monday. God damn it, I have to open up my calendar. Jesus. January 16th. That is the week on January 20th. That's when Fire Emblem Engage releases. So on January 20th, I'm going to be making a video discussing my plans for the game. I'm going to be making a community post just in case you guys don't want to watch the video. And so I'm going to be sending you a Discord message, so that way if you don't want to read the post or video, it's just there in the DMs.
That's fair.
So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for watching. I do hope that your hopes were on par with ours. If not, I hope that they were ours exactly. And if they weren't, then let us know what your hopes are. Let
us know what you think in the comments.
Yeah, down in my pants. I mean the comments.
Huh?
Sorry. No, in the comments section. Please let us know. Nowhere else.
Do it in the comments section. I don't know how you do in those pants. I don't want to know.
Thank you guys so much. Again, thank you guys so much for watching, and we will probably see you when the game releases, actually. So,
yeah, we'll see you like 2 Fridays from now.
Yeah. So yeah. Until then, if we don't see you now, we'll see you on January 20th. Thank you guys so much for watching, and take care. Bye now.